guys, how you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming my June and July wrap up. So I didn't feel like filming a wrap up in June. I just really wasn't in the filming mood, so I never got around to it. So I'm just going to be combining the 2 months into one wrap up. I did reread a lot of books in the past 2 months. I'm going to briefly talk about those ones, but the books I mainly want to talk about today are the books that I've read for the first time, because I just feel like I have more to say about those ones. So I'm super excited for this wrap up. I've read some pretty good books, so let's just get started. So the first 2 books that I read in June were P.S. I Still Love You and Always and Forever, Lara Jean by Jenny Han. These are the second and third books in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy, and I picked these up because if you saw my May wrap up, then you would know that I read To All the Boys That I've Loved Before at the end of the month, and so I really wanted to continue on and read the whole trilogy, and it was such a good decision. So in general, my thoughts about these books are pretty positive. I really enjoy this whole series. It's just like a really good feel-good story, and it makes you happy. Like, I cannot help but smile when I read these books because they're just so happy, and I don't even I don't know, the family dynamic is incredible in these books, and the friendships and just everything in these books are fantastic. So this was a great sequel, and this was a great conclusion, but To All the Boys will always and forever will be my favorite book. But these ones are also great additions to the story, and I love them so very much, and I'm so excited for the movie for the first book that comes out this month. I gave both of these books 5 out of 5 stars. The next book is one of the books that I'm most excited to discuss with you guys today, and that is Geekerella by Ashley Poston. I read this for the Cramathon, and I have a vlog up on my channel that you guys can check out if you want to see me reading this book. I love all of the Cinderella aspects in this book. This is obviously a Cinderella retelling, and the way that Ashley Poston just brought in all of these Cinderella elements into the story, it was so well done. And I just love how she took the whole Cinderella story and just completely nerded and geeked it out, which is totally what I wanted in a story. So much fandom and so much geeking out, and it is so much fun. I really enjoyed the relationship in this story. One of my tropes that I love, that I literally live for, is the hate to love trope. And that is definitely evident in this story, and it is done so well and so amazingly. It was just everything that I wanted it to be and more, and it was so adorable, and I love these characters so much. My 2 favorite characters in this whole book was the main character Elle and also her best friend Sage. Sage was an unexpected favorite character, and I do talk about this a little bit in my Cramathon vlog, but I wasn't expecting to love her because she didn't seem that important at the beginning of the story, but then she just became such a critical part of the story, and she was just so funny and so amazing and badass, and I loved her to death. Yeah, I chose this book for my predicted 5-star read for the Cramathon, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. This was definitely a 5-star read. It was everything that I wanted it to be and more, and I'm so happy that I finally got around to picking it up and reading it. Then I picked up on audiobook The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan. So yes, I have finally finished the Percy Jackson series, and I am so happy that I can finally say that after so many years of having to tell everyone that I have yet to read Percy Jackson. So I'm finally done, and I enjoyed The Last Olympian. It's definitely my favorite in the series, I would say. I feel like I might have enjoyed this series a bit more if I read it physically. The audiobooks were enjoyable. I don't know, I just feel like I personally enjoy books more when I physically read them, and I'll get to that later on when I talk about a book that I read in July. But yeah, so I really do enjoy the characters in Percy Jackson. I think they're really funny and they're really fun in general, and Percabeth is a ship that I'm on board with 100%. So overall thoughts on the series: it's good, I enjoy it, but it's not one of my favorites, and I'm not as obsessed as everyone else seems to be, but I think I just missed the opportunity to be obsessed with it as a child. I just can't connect with it in the same way, being 18 years old, I guess, but it was still really enjoyable. So I gave The Last Olympian 4.25 out of 5 stars. So the next 3 books I don't want to talk about too much because we all know how I feel about them, but I read the first 3 books in the Harry Potter series. So that is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So really all that I want to say is that I really enjoyed rereading these. I annotated them, so they are all heavily tabbed and highlighted and written in, and I will be making a video about my annotated Harry Potter books once I have them all annotated. I absolutely adore these books, obviously, like there is no question about it, and I had a really fun time annotating these books, particularly Philosopher's Stone, because I did some illustrations inside that were really fun to do. So I can't wait to make a video discussing these copies with you guys, but I obviously gave all of these ones 5 out of 5 stars. Those are all the books for June, so now let's talk about July. So naturally the first book that I read in July was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Again, annotated it. I had a really fun time reading and annotating this book. Let me tell you, during this reread, I really remembered and discovered how funny the Harry Potter series can be. Like orange tabs means funny. That's just what I correlate orange with, I guess, for tabbing. And I have gone through so many orange tabs. Like I have like 5 packages of tabs open right now just because I kept running out of orange, and this one is chock, you can't really see, but this one is chock full of orange tabs because it was just so hilarious, and I'll probably talk about that more in my annotation video, but obviously I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. And then I reread another book, and I reread Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. So there were 2 reasons why I reread this book. 1, because I love it and I just really wanted to reread it, and 2, because this book kind of reminds me of the novel that I'm currently writing, and so I wanted to get some inspiration from this one. And I have some yellow post-it note tabs in here, notes written on them for things that I enjoyed from her writing style and her storytelling that I wanted to take note of, and I really enjoyed rereading this book. I don't want to talk too much about it because I did just read it this year. I think I read it in January, so if you want to hear my thoughts on this book, you can go check out that wrap up. But I really enjoyed rereading it. I loved it just as much as the first time, if not even more. Like, it was so good. Obviously 5 out of 5 stars to this one. And then I decided to pick up Francesca Zappia's other book, Made You Up. I wrote a lot of notes on this one in my reading journal, but first thing I want to say is that I listened to 150 or 130 pages of this on audiobook, and then I just decided to pick it up physically because I wasn't loving it as an audiobook and I really wanted to enjoy the story, so I decided to pick it up physically to see if that would change how I was feeling about the story, and it totally did. And I don't know if it's just because I picked it up at the right point or if it's because the audiobook just really wasn't working for me. I don't really know, but I really ended up enjoying this book. So this book is basically about our main character, Alex, who struggles with schizophrenia, and she moves to a new school where she can get a fresh start, where nobody knows that she has schizophrenia. And she basically, has to suffer with trying to decipher reality from her hallucinations, and so throughout the whole book you don't know if something is really happening. And there's a really cute romance in this book that I adore. Again, kind of another hate to love trope, kind of. It's really good. I never really read a book with schizophrenia. I found that to be a really interesting thing to read about. I cannot talk about the representation surrounding schizophrenia because I personally do not have schizophrenia, and I don't know anyone who does, so I can't speak on that, but I personally really enjoyed it. Overall, I really enjoyed this book despite starting out not loving it because of the audiobook possibly, but there were also a few parts in the story that I really didn't know what was happening, but I think that was mainly when I was listening to the audiobook. But overall, I really loved it, so I gave it a 4.25 out of 5 stars, but I might raise that to a 4.5 because I also rated The Last Olympian 4.25, but I definitely think I enjoyed this one more, so I think I might bump it up to a 4.5. And then I picked up The Retribution of Mara Dyer and I reread this one. This was another kind of impromptu read. I've been really wanting to reread it so I can move on to The Becoming of Noah Shaw, but I wasn't planning on picking it up anytime soon until October, but I just impromptu picked it up one day and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely my least favorite in the trilogy, but I really enjoyed the characters and I still really enjoyed the story, and it was still a really fun read. And also I read this back in 2015 and I remembered nothing. Reading this book felt like I was reading it for the first time because I honestly remembered nothing. Like throughout the whole book I was like, what's gonna happen? Like I had no clue. I really enjoyed this book regardless of like anything, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I want to give some trigger warnings for this book. There is an attempted rape scene that I feel like could harm some people if they have gone through something similar to that. And also a trigger warning for self-harm. And then I recently picked up the Legend graphic novel. This is adapted by Leigh Dragoon and illustrated by Kari. I picked this up for the Booktubeathon. It won the coin toss challenge. I have given up on the Booktubeathon. This just wasn't the right time for me. Maybe next year will be better. But I'm so busy and I had so many things going on this week that I just decided to give up. So I did read this one. This is the only book that I completed for the Booktubeathon. This wasn't the best graphic novel that I've read. This wasn't the best book to graphic novel adaptation that I've ever read. It's just okay. So of course I enjoy the stories and the characters because I love them already. Like I already know that I like the story. I already know that I love the characters because I love the trilogy. So it felt a little flat for me because I felt like it was rushed and I felt like we were jumping from one part of the story to the next with little to no explanation in between about what was happening. And so I feel like if you were to jump into this without reading the novel first, you'd be very, very confused and you wouldn't get like the full extent of the story. I just feel like it didn't do the story justice and it didn't give the story what it deserved, I feel like. I have to say I did really enjoy the illustrations. Day is not my favorite. I don't like the way they did his hair, but I love the way they did June, and just overall the art style was pretty enjoyable, which is obviously a very important thing when you're reading a graphic novel. You have to enjoy the art. But overall it was pretty enjoyable. It just fell a little flat for me. I wanted more from it. I gave this one a 3.75 out of 5 stars and I do plan on reading the other two. So those were all the books that I read in June and in July. I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below what you guys read in the past 2 months because I'd really like to know and discuss some books with you guys. Also let me know if you've read any of these books and tell me your thoughts about them. Give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!